for the community. So when kids have a need, if it's something we can fill, wonderful, then we offer that, like tutoring. It's easy, we can do that. If it's not, then we have partnerships and places where we've built collaborations where we can funnel families and kids too. So when we had our panel discussion, I thought, oh, they're talking about the youth piece. We're gonna dive right in. And we kind of did. So I want to get some feedback from you all, and I know we have to use this mic because we're streaming. We're good? Okay. So I want to get some feedback from you all based on, I feel like that was the start of this, okay? From that question about engaging youth. And I don't know if you can think back and remember, it wasn't that long ago, but I know we just had a wonderful lunch, so please wake up. To think about, when you think about engaging youth in your churches, what are some of the things that you think about? What are things that come to mind? I'll pass the mic. I'll just hand it to somebody. And we're going to talk and pass. Okay. Thank you.
Well, I'm a retired educator, and one of the things that I know for sure, children want to be engaged, and they want to be engaged in things that are of interest to them, because we can engage them in a lot of things, but if they have no interest, then we've lost right there. So they need to be engaged and engage in things of interest.
We agree? Yes. And they want to, they do. They want to be engaged. They can find themselves playing on that game system. It's really easy to engage that kind of way. But when it comes to coming into the doors of the church, that may be a little bit harder. Why?
I know you said you were a retired educator. I've got 3 more years. Right now I'm in the trenches, 3rd graders, 8 and 9 years old, and it is about that social play. It is about engaging in conversations and, you know, being like-minded and open-minded. What I like about what's being offered here and what kids look forward to, is not only, you know, playing video games. Video games does open a line of communication. They problem solve, they're creative. So that's one avenue offered here that I like. And it is, like I said, about that social play and being physical, and just a simple soccer game, you know, brings all those young, great minds together. And so to answer that question you initially asked, you know, what has brought youth together is just being on the same equal level playing field and having things in common. And I know earlier one of the commentators were talking about relationships. Relationships are real and relationships are strong. And so long as you have that as a foundation, you know, the trajectory is onward and upward.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So we have to build relationships. Now, another thing that was mentioned in another workshop, maybe it was the panel, children don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I've heard that before. We've heard that before. So building that relationship becomes vital, because I'm not trying to get anything that you have for me. I'm not trying to hear anything you have if I don't know that you care about me. And kids are very honest, bluntly honest sometimes, but they also crave the authenticity of a relationship. They can spot it if it's fake. So we have to be true. We have to be real. They can also spot when we're trying to cover things up or hide things. We don't really even want to address that. And they have answers. What better place to come to get the questions to get the answers to the questions that they have? They can go to their friends. You know, maybe they can go to their parents. I don't know what half of the kids that we serve, I don't know what their households look like outside of the time that they spend here with me after school. But when they're here, I try to be real with them and answer questions and whatever opportunities we provide for them as well. So Yes, relationships, authentic relationships. We talked about historically what the black church was, what it did, and things that we still do, because we're still doing those very same things that were mentioned in the panel. All of those are things that are still happening. And then it was also mentioned that, church was just what we did. That was the thing we did. So I go to church because mama goes to church and my auntie goes to church. So someone said what we have to do is build a youth ministry. When we engage youth, they will engage. So you engage youth so they can engage other youth, right? Building a youth ministry off of outside of your family. So how do we reach them? How do we get them? Here, one of the things, like I said, I'm the director of the Family Life Center, and one of the things that we have, I always tell people, kids will find their way through door number 4, which some of you all came through today, and my goal is for them to eventually find their way to the front door of the church. In our summer programming and out-of-school time, all of that out-of-school time programming, I make sure that we spend some time in the sanctuary. For some reason, church is scary for kids and youth. I don't know what they do in there. I don't know if they're going to like me in there. So some of the things that we do, one of the things that we do is we spend some time in here. The first camp that I had, I brought kids in here, and we sat in this aisle, and we colored. Now you're already in the sanctuary. One barrier removed. You've been to church, right? It's simple. Sometimes we make things too hard, and kids are simple, right? Now y'all gotta talk back to, okay. Because I like for people to talk back to me. Okay, so engaged youth will engage youth. So building relationships, engaging youth, facilitating community. I have a parent that tells me all the time, I love the community that you're building here. I know that my kids are safe. I know that they're going to be heard. I know that they're going to be seen. So part of engaging youth is building a community that they feel safe in. Would you agree? What does that look like? I don't like church. I don't like to sing. I don't want to sit still. How many times do kids come into our sanctuaries and babies cry, and we quickly take them back to the cry room? Shh. We're praying. Don't get up. Don't move. When kids come into one of my programs, we always talk about rules. What are the rules? Well, I don't have any rules. I don't create rules for the kids that come through our programming. We create a contract, and we decide what it's going to be. We decide what our space is going to look like. And kids always say, one of the first things, don't do X, Y, Z. And I'm like, well, everywhere else we get told what we can't do. Don't, stop, quit, no. How about we create some of the things that we want to make sure we do in this space? It just helps us to look at it a little bit differently. And then kids are like, really? No, there's no no's? There are no no's. And then when they do something that conflicts with the contract that we've agreed on, we all hold each other accountable. So, and all this is part of creating that community, right? Started off in a positive tone because, these are kids. You like to be told no? Don't quit. Do you like to be told no? Don't quit. Okay. No. So why are we telling our kids that? Does it make sense? Simple. It's simple things. Okay. So building a community starts with building the relationships. Now, a lot of our congregations are aging congregations. So our elders can't do it alone, right? Our kids can't do it alone. So we have to do it together. So I look at things intergenerationally, not multi-generation. There's a difference. We have multi-generational activities and events that go on, and My mother comes in and she goes to her thing, and the kids come in and they go to their thing. We're really not learning anything from each other. So we have to do it intergenerationally because our kids have something that we can benefit from. And we know we have something that they can benefit from, right? So we have to look at, as we build this community for kids, we're building relationships, we're engaging our youth, it has to be an intergenerational thing. Because when we're all gone, whatever we've given to them, that's what they have. And if we keep ourselves away from them, we always say they lost. It's your fault. Link up with one of them, okay? Create some mentoring circles. Okay. So we have to adapt to their needs and be relevant to them. So maybe you don't like to play that video game. Maybe you don't like soccer, but will you show up? Because that's part of the whole, once I know that you care about me. Oh, she came. She's here. Oh, she's here again. Kids have to warm up to you. And remember, they have to know that you're real because they'll spot it. Okay, so barriers to youth engagement. What are some of the things that keep us from doing these things with kids? What are some of the things that keep us from showing up or inviting them in? Or he's got you.
One of the things we have to realize is that we got to get away from that thought, and I'm working on myself with that, about we didn't do that when we were your age, and you did this and you did that. I think you really need to get to know what your young people are doing, what they're saying, and get a basic understanding of where they are, because it's totally different now than when I was young. That was 100 years ago. But they don't, I mean, honestly, so we have to get past that. We look at them when they come into church. Well, we couldn't dress like that. It's a different group of parents from when we were younger, because the parents are getting younger. And so that leaves a lot that we have to know. I used to be able to say, who's your mom? Now I'm even past who's your grandma, because I had a little boy ask me one day, and I told you this, I helped him pick up something off the floor in the grocery store, and he asked me how old I was, and I told him that, and he said, and you can still bend over? So we have to get
I told y'all
an idea
kids were honest.
of what they're thinking about us, but we really need, before we do the no's and stop and don't do that, really understand what this age group is doing, what they're interested in.
Okay. What are they doing? What are they interested in?
I work with the youth at Bates. I'm in the dance ministry. And so I've interacted with them from all ages, the little babies, teenagers, adults. What I've seen across the board with all of them is, of course, they're all into technology. Everybody loves a TikTok. Although I dance and I'm into technology, I could care less about TikTok. Oh, I could care less about TikTok. But the kids love it. So, and I have kids myself. So I try to stay up on the relevant TikToks so I can go in the room and say, hey, I know that. I usually don't really. I just act like I do. So from that perspective, trying to connect with them through things that they know. I mean, any social media platform is going to be the first place that you could go to try to bridge that gap. Another thing that I personally have done, I invite them into my home. We'll try to do it in small groups because the dance ministry is pretty large. So we try to do it in small groups. The leadership, we try to do it first amongst ourselves so we can all get on the same page. And then we invite, some of the kids and their parents. We had a graduation event kind of party. Everybody cooked, brought food, we played games, and we really got to know them outside of the purpose of what we're at church for. So just spending that individual one-on-one time getting to know them. After that, the ministry grew even more and we got closer. So once you have that personal relationship with them, you really can start to try to help them, mentor them, and help them develop into what God wants them to be.
That's true. That's true. You spent time. Their hearts are open. Now, do you all put dances on TikTok?
We do not as a ministry.
Okay.
There's a lot to that question.
Okay.
Love Bates is my church home, but we try not to do things, you know what I mean, that to represent the church in that way.
Gotcha. I gotcha.
Yeah, so we minister, and that gets posted.
Okay.
Some rehearsals might get posted, that kind of thing.
Yep.
But there's kids of all ages, and for me personally, I have the hardest time connecting with the babies.
Okay.
I connect more with the teenagers. But we've all got our gifts.
We do.
Yep.
We
But
do.
there's somebody that does connect with the babies, and, you know, they love them. And sometimes the little ones, you know, want to connect with me, and I'm more focused on the teenagers. It's just not my gift.
It's not your gift.
It's not.
It's not mine either. I understand. I asked that question not to be judgmental, but when we think about the activity that we have that kind of bridge the gap, and a bridge is nice, but it would be real nice to close the gap. We'll get there eventually. But when we think about the things that we're doing to bridge the gap, what's the next step? So the kids get to show you TikTok, right? And not putting the church out on TikTok, but if that's where you are, I'm meeting you there. What's next? Why can't we take back social media? Can't that be a tool for evangelism?
Oh, absolutely. I believe so. And I believe that it can be, but has to be governed, done in a way that it represents what the church wants to represent,
Right.
not just this ministry and not just this child. Because there's also a piece of it where all the dances aren't, you know, great. So you see the kids doing something, say, hey, let's do this instead. Let's change that part, because that's not really who you should represent. So some of it is that piece of the conversation too.
Right. You're right. So we have to govern, but we can't be afraid to meet them there. So thank you for meeting the kids where they are. I want to ask, but I don't want you all to raise your hands and tell me. But when you think about social media, how many of us are on social media? How many of us have any kind of social media? I said I don't want y'all to. Don't raise your hand, because I don't want people that don't to feel bad. Technology is one big way we can bridge the gap. That's where kids are. They're giving devices in school. I've seen babies with phones in their hands. They're learning how to do it quickly. As soon as it changes, they already know what to do. So we can use technology as a means of both an avenue to mentor our young people, learn from them, but then help them to use that more positive, right? But we can't be scared of it. Technology scares a lot of us. And then, Sister Brenda, you spoke about different. They do things different. Is different bad? No, it's not. When I talk to kids, and in any context where they say, well, I'm just different, or this is just different, I always use the analogy of a salad. You like salad? Do you like salad? I like salad. Lettuce in your salad? Is a salad if it only has lettuce? No, it's just lettuce. It's not a salad, it's just lettuce. And put some dressing on it. Put some cheese in. All of those things make up the salad, right? It's the same way with us. If kids came up and were doing the same things that we were doing, did somebody say, oh, mercy? Oh. We'd be stuck. And the goal is to move forward, right? So, different is not bad. We also have to remember when we give our youth positions of leadership, when we talk about engaging them, finding things that they like, that means we have to activate their hands and feet. We have to give them things to do and not just, hey, move that there. Okay, they're young, a little bit stronger, they can do that. But actually giving them things to do. Now, we don't have to turn over complete ministries to them, but you have a spiritual gift. Kids have a spiritual gift. How do they know that? How will they find that? We have to give them things to do. And learning from what they're interested in, let's start there. Let me give you something to do. Let's activate our hands and feet. I'm going to keep going back to my notes because I'll start rambling, y'all. When we give them their positions of leadership, try not to be surprised when they don't know what to do, because we have to help them with that. Kids often, where are you going? I don't know where I'm going. Where are you going? We can't know where we're going if we don't know where we came from. That's why this has to be intergenerational. We have to share stories. We have to talk to them. We have to be where they are. They're not coming to where we are. We have to go to where they are. So there has to be an intergenerational connection, and we have to give them space to find what that gift is. And if we don't give them things to do, if we don't activate their hands and feet here, it's going to be activated somewhere. They're going to find a place to use their gifts. But when we can activate those here, then church grows, ministry grows, right? How many of us read and don't raise your hands? How many of us read a Bible other than the King James Version? Just think about it. And we're okay with that. There's different versions, right? Different translations, not versions, different translations of the Bible. Have you ever tried to listen to a child read from King James? You laughing. Tell me about that. They're just as confused as we are sometimes. And we grown. Maybe we've been to school. Maybe we have further education. Maybe not. But think about that baby. And then think about what our reading test scores look like for our state. Sometimes we just make things too hard. We create the barriers. We want you to come in. We got Jesus. Come on and get him. Well, they don't know who that is. The D and the thou and the, they don't know. You gonna say something? Come on.
I have this conversation with my grandmother often about the different Bibles and what children should be reading. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and she's in 4th grade now. 3rd grade, she's struggling with reading really bad. She's a COVID kid, who missed those years of development during that time. She's much better now. Still got a ways to go. But I let my grandmother, who's retired, help tutor her. We couldn't afford a tutor, so Grammy, got to do this thing. So she's on it. And so she takes her to the Bible. Now we're going to read Bible verses. That wasn't the only thing they read, but she definitely, said read the Bible. Well, I have an NIV kids version for my daughter, and I read multiple of them myself. The argument, of course, is KJV is the only version. That's the only one you should read. Everything else is false. I said, well, I don't agree with that. It gives you NIV for my daughter. She can read it. She's learning words and understanding at the same time. If you just jump right into KJV, you don't understand. Even if you can read the words, it does not make sense. So now my daughter can pick up NIV and read by herself. I believe in the future she'll pick up KJV and read by herself, and she will make those connections for herself. We will have those conversations, and you'll see the changes. You'll understand the differences between NIV gives you something direct to understand. It tells you what it means. KJV leaves it open to your own understanding in some verses. So reading different versions of the Bible, I don't believe is wrong. And from children learning how to read, you want them to want to read. If you give them something hard to read, they're not going to want to read. That's the point of it. Like, you don't want to give them something hard to read. They don't want to do something hard. They do something hard every day, all the time, at school. Then you take them to church and say, read this hard thing. And you get mad with them, or you don't understand. Well, I had to do it. Okay, maybe there's another way. Because there is that gap. And then even so, more so with males. I think, for me, in my experience, and this isn't about me, so I'm not trying to say that, but I feel like it's not just about me. I feel like other people have this experience too, trying to engage with males in church, especially young males in church, is even harder than trying to engage with females. So children across the board, of course, bridge the gap. But then having more males want to be involved. And we have our Children, Youth, and Young Adult Weekend. I have 2 older boys, 17 and 15. And I'm like, hey, go sing in the choir. They've never sung in the choir. They said, no. I said, oh, you told me no. Why would you say that? So then they was like, I'm not doing that. I said, okay, well, why don't you go help with the audio? My older son said, no, I'm going to be the pastor's bodyguard. I said, okay. But they were involved in some way. It wasn't what I wanted them to do, but they, got involved in some way for what they wanted to do. I feel like a youth ministry, for the youth to have their own ministry, you have to give them things that they want to do. Right. To her point. And kids, I believe, because to your other point, when I was growing up, the youth had their own entire church service every Sunday. We ran it. We sung, we played the piano, we were the ushers, we were the congregation. We had our own entire ministry every Sunday. And then once a month, we'd go to adult church. Wow. It was the opposite of what it is now. Now, all the kids are in there with adults, not talking about things that are relevant. And I'm sure that's not the case at all churches, but most of the ones I've been to. And the kids don't want to go. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to stop talking now.
I am the new pastor at Little Zion Baptist Church in Glendale. I've almost been there a year. The church went through I come behind, I walked into a hornet's nest. Church break up and all that kind of stuff. Deacons, all that get up. Y'all just pray for it. So we're in the midst of this rebuilding, rebranding. How do we, I think it was on the panel or somebody said it earlier today, how do we're bridging the gap between the older generation and the new generation, and then we are fighting this vicious thing of hybrid church. And now young people and adults don't feel like they need to even come to church anymore, because now we got it online. We don't have to come. Mm-hmm. How do we bridge that gap and bring our youth back in and get them to, with the older generation, to bridge all that together?
What do you have for them? What am I coming to?
Exactly. That's what I'm getting to church at right now.
So that means it's time to create some things.
Right.
Yes, we can do church online. My son is 17, and he tells me every Sunday, I just watch it online. No, we're just going to be in the building. You can watch it from the back pew if you want to, but we're going to be in the building. It's something different about being in the building, coming together, right? So I would say, and I'm not the expert in anything, but if this was my position, what do I have that's going to draw you into the doors? I have to provide something in this space that you can't get watching me on a screen. So you have to think about that. And back to what are the youth interested in? If we're dancing, can we dance on the screen? I mean, we could. We could learn dances through Zoom and all that, but where are you gonna do it at? Where's your fellowship piece? What do you get out of coming together? Food is always good. Food is always good. Right, and we've heard many times today, do not despise small beginnings. So if you decide to have a youth pizza party and 2 people come, remember that youth engaged will engage other youth. So if those 2 come and get full, not just on pizza, but I have played, I have fellowshipped, I have found a purpose, then I'm going to get 2 more. And then we build, right? So you have to have something that draws them in. Trying to be mindful of the time. What time are we supposed to be done? Somebody know? Okay. We often think about we're passing the baton. We're setting up the next generation to take over, right? But if what we have to give them is our aging population, our aging generation church, do they want that? Would you want it? We have to sing these songs. We have to do this. It has to be this way. Would you want somebody to hand that down to you? It's not relevant to them. So we have to make sure we keep it relevant. And remembering that this is not a passing the baton, but we're cultivating the same field together. So we have to work side by side. Again, our youth, who knows what God has in store for them? And what better place for them to be than here? But we have to know that what we have for them is worth that much. Because again, if we don't believe it,
that I enjoy what I'm doing. Because your kids are looking at you. They can look at everybody else, but your kids are looking at mom and dad, how they react. Had a pastor on TikTok say, they learn from you. They need to sit by you some Sundays to see how you react. So you have to be real. And that is all in communication. Talk about what the pastor spoke about. Talk about what you learned in Sunday school. So it will be relevant. And, it's I done lost my train of thought. See what happens when you turn 65. But, as I said, engaging, definitely, is it supper table, breakfast table, lunch table. Let's talk about what the pastor talked about Sunday. Tell me what you learned in Sunday school. What do you think about what you learned? It is. And like, I love Joy with Grandma telling Grandma, hey, Grandma, it just don't work like that. It's a beautiful thing, but, okay, let's read this. Mm-hmm. What does this mean? Mm-hmm. What's it say to you? That's all I got.
Think about beyond just our Sunday mornings. So as you get ready to figure out how you're going to draw people back to your church, it's not just about Sunday morning. So a lot of our kids, say it again. Yes, because we want to reach the whole person. So we have to have a holistic approach. We mentioned our test scores. Our kids are struggling. What about a tutoring program? What about our elder population coming in and actually tutoring our kids? And yes, maybe we use the NIV version of the Bible. Maybe we don't. Maybe they show us a website they like to go to and we read what's going on. Are we reading? Yep. Is it the way that you would have done it? Probably not. But different isn't bad. Yes.
The culture today in the world in general, these kids are being bred to be entrepreneurs, business owners. I feel like from what you just said, you have a unique opportunity to create something brand new. Mm-hmm. And it could be that you draw the youth in, draw the community in with this idea of I mean, the church is a business too. So let them be involved in building what that new thing is. Like, let them be directly involved. It's their ideas, their decisions, their responsibility. So if you use that piece of what they're learning, like that's what they're learning in school, is how to be entrepreneurs. They've changed the entire, not entirely, but a big piece of it. These pathways and learning paths, they all call it something different at all the different districts, but it's the same thing of, you're in broadcasting, you're in, entrepreneurship, you're in sports media, you're, all these different pathways they have now, medicine. Use those things of what they're learning in school to build you a new church.
And that's a good way to collaborate with the schools, right?
You talk about intergeneration. Great. But you don't, now this is my personal
Yes, ma'am.
opinion.
Yes, ma'am.
You don't want to focus so much on youth that you forget the seniors.
Right.
You may gain one, you may lose another, or begin to stray, or feel left out. And when it comes down to TikTok or whatever that other thing, and Facebook, I don't know anything about it. I have no desire to even learn about it. I have great-grandchildren. I see them on it. I think that's a part of the turnoff for me. They spend more time on that instrument than going outside or watching the 5 and the 6 o'clock news. All the news is not good, but there are things to be learned from that. And when you think about the youth that comes in, Reverend Nelson's involved with them, and what I see and enjoy on the Sundays that they have their day, they are excited to be here. They come, they're on fire, they're looking forward to that. It warms my heart when I see the young ushers being mentored by the senior usher, and they walk alongside of them. They take up the offering, whatever. Those are the days that the children look forward to. And I look forward, as a senior citizen, seeing them participate and interacting. But you don't want to, and I still say, there are things that need to be kept. We can't throw everything, can't throw the baby out with the wash water. So now if you don't want King James Version, that's fine. I'm old-fashioned. Now, when I teach Sunday school, I'll have 2 Bibles there. I'll even use my iPhone to look up the definition of a word and to read my King James or NIV or whatever. But we have to be on target with everybody, not just the youth. And maybe I'm being sounding selfish. That is not my intent.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not the only senior in the building.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
therefore, all of us need to be, it's an inclusive
It is.
situation.
It is.
Well, say it, because I mean it.
I want to say that earlier because when you have the dynamics in the church, as we all know it, you got to have a balance. You got to have, I'm young and a young preacher, but I've been in the gospel for over 20 years. I started this thing when I was 13. And so I was brought up with those old hymns. I love to hear them. I love to hear them. I'm even not so caught up in some of the new stuff. But I do realize that you got to have a balance in ministry, because that's the feeling that they get, that we're trying to push them out the way. No, we got to work with them to grow together. So.
Let me piggyback on that. When you think about the old hymns, they have a meaning. There are words in there that mean standing on the promises of God. Oh, what a fellowship. And some of the new songs, I don't even know the words. You just hear the music. And you have, to me, the meaning's different than what it would be for someone else. But I just think all of that needs to be meshed together and use some of those gospel songs to say, Jesus loves me. I don't know when I've heard that. This little light of mine. So all of it, you can't just do one without doing the other.
You
Put 'em
cannot.
all in the pot together.
You're right. You can't do one without the other. Our youth, like I said, I don't know where I'm going because I don't know where I've been. And I often tell our kids, I'm not giving you anything new. I'm unlocking what you already have. And the strength that exists within our people, you already have it. Stay connected. We have to stay connected, right? So I'm not giving you anything new. I'm not trying to, and no, we can't throw everything away. I'm not saying throw much of anything away, but it has to be relevant. So standing on the promises may not be relevant to this child. And if you don't know the words to the song, all you hear is the music, turn the music off. Ask them what the words are. Ask them what it means to them. Ask them why they like that song. Let's bridge that. And then maybe you can find meaning in that song as well. And King James, absolutely. Sunday school, 2 versions. When we create barriers that keep kids and youth from wanting to know more and learn more, that's our fault. So is it worth more to say, no, it has to be this way, and not just with whatever translation of the Bible, but in activities, you have to dress this way, you have to listen to this song. There does have to be a balance, and it's a delicate thing. It's a delicate thing because we do want our youth to come in. Without our youth, our churches are dying. And we can't lose our elders because that's where our history is. That's where we know we have our strength from. So we have to balance both. And yes, it is a delicate issue, but we don't want to throw one away so that we can have the other. There has to be, we cultivate the same field. We work the same field. And in a garden, another analogy like my salad, we don't just have roses. We don't just have daisies, and we don't just have, it takes all of us. I always tell people we're better together. How much more can we get done if we do it together? I'm not going to do it the way you do it. You're not going to do it the way that I do it, and that's what makes it work. That's what makes it work. So when we think about our youth, and we think about our youth ministries, and we think about bringing youth into our church and how to engage them, it has to be together. That's what the intergenerational piece is. It has to be together. We have to do it together.
Overall, and I aren't that far apart in age. But the difference is I don't have any kids. I don't have any grandkids. My brothers that were adopted, it was a 19-year difference between me and them. They're 19 years younger than I am. I go places with them, and they say, this is your mama. But I have a phone, an antique, as my great niece calls it, because I have an Android. And there are things that show up when they're saying they're updating. I don't know what to do with. So I look forward to the session that you're going to have some of the young people that know what they're doing to help me get rid of some of this stuff on my phone and to know the difference in what I'm adding and how to get rid of it, because I've got a lot of junk on there. So that's where I am. The hymns we need, because the young people need to know those. That's what we grew up on. And it's just a different time span. So if we can get them in here with the skating and learning what music, some of the music you don't want to hear, because when you can hear the words, you really know you don't want to know those words. But we still need them to help us bridge, because I have no idea some of the things that they're wanting to do. And I'm not close, like I said, I'm on school board, but I only see the kids if I go to school and visit with them or do things. So from a personal point of view, I look forward to that, because I need them to show me what to do with what I have, how to use an Android instead of an iPhone, and all of those things. So that's where I think that somehow, even if we don't like what they're doing, if we don't agree with their music, and I'll say this because I hope it's not going all out, I don't like half of the stuff that President Trump is putting out. I have a relative that just loves him to death, and the rest of the family has blocked her. But if I block, I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what they're planning. I don't know what they're doing. So even if I don't like it, I'm going to have to figure a way to work around it so I can actually figure out what they're doing and what they're saying, because these are going to be my future caregivers, and I want to know if they think when you get old you ought to be dead, or if they're actually going to give me some care when I get old. Or older.
While that microphone is passing, there is a program that I'm starting here called Passing the Promise. And it is a literacy-based thing, but it engages our older generation with our younger generation. It's a pen pal situation. So our kids, who don't write very much anymore, right? Will get a pen pal letter. They'll get paired with someone from another generation in our church, and there's a monthly communication, and then maybe every other month or quarterly time, if they want to get together, then we'll have an event here to bring them together. But passing the promise, you have history, you have richness, you've talked about hymns. So in the same token of sharing, turn the music off, listen to the words of that song, well, why do you care about that hymn? They don't understand. It's another language to them. So take the time, that's all. Just take the time and be open. Be open to that.
Saying about our youth, and my grandson, Brian, he gets in my truck and he don't want me to know that he's listening. Okay, so with my music, usually in my truck, it's usually gospel music, and I'll look over and he's got his little foot just patting, he pretending like he's on his phone, but he don't want me to know. And a lot of the songs now, he can sing them better than me, and they're all old gospel music. And I said, Brian, he said, I said, I listen to it on my phone. He said, but Granny, just put it on your truck. So he took my phone and connected it to the truck so he could hear the music too. And he'll be just patting his feet and clapping his hands and just as jolly as ever. And every bit of it is old-fashioned gospel music. So I understand what you're saying about the youth and us older folks.
Yeah, they brought it back. But, yeah, right. But that's an opportunity, because I'll write something and I can't read that because they can't read it. Not only can they not write it, they can't read it. So start a pen pal situation. Yeah. Well, yeah, coulda, shoulda, woulda. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. But I just want to encourage you all, because we've gone over our time, and I'm sorry. Like I said, I don't have all the answers. I can only tell you what I've done or what I'm doing or what I plan to do, and try something. If it doesn't work, the kids are going to tell you, because they're honest. They're going to tell you. But if our goal is to get them to come in to our fellowship, we have to have something here that draws them. And we know Jesus, right? Right. Okay, so I can go and tell you, I need to introduce you to Jesus. And they're going to look at you like, okay. So what is it that you have that draws them in here? Jesus will hook them, right? We catch them, he'll clean them, right? So we just need to get them in here. I don't have anything else. I hope y'all learned something, got a nugget or two.
Generations coming together and the history we can offer them. If we said to some of them today, did you ever attend BTU? And they would look at you like, what? What is BTU? We grew up with Baptist Training Union. They need to know the history, not that it should be in writing, They need to hear it from our mouth. And we need to be able to tell them what it was like when we would have Bible drill. What is Bible drill? Well, they tell you to look up Matthew 14 or 20. Well, you would see them go to the index, trying to find out. Well, that's the way we learned the books of the Bible. And it wasn't just one book. You just go, and it became a game in a sense that who got there first. But it was a learning experience along the way. They need to know the bad things and the good things about us.
And that's why you're valuable. That's why we need you.
I hope.
You are.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.